People who have been on game shows and won, what did you really win and how did it help your life? From a radio contest, so not technically a game show, but I won tickets to a Springsteen concert which included a bus ride to Detroit to see it. The best part was that Bob Seger showed up and played with the band too. An old friend of mine was a contestant on Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on PBS way back in grade school. He won a trip to Hawaii for his family. Hardly life-changing, still kinda cool. I loved that show. Wish PBS would reboot it and Wishbone for today's kids. I also loved Legend of the Hidden Temple until a friend I met in high school who had been on it told me about how much it sucked and her and the other kids basically being treated like dirt while at Nickelodeon Studios. Pretty sure I've seen on Reddit a guy who had the same experience on that show as kid. Pretty sad. A friend of mine won one of the last episodes aired of The Weakest Link. It was an episode where they were supposed to be lookalikes of the host, smiley face. She won $100K. She was wanting to be able to stay home with her kids and this allowed her to do that. She homeschools her 6 kids now and is just such a happy, sweet lady. How cool. I auditioned for The Weakest Link. I made it to the 3rd round, where they shot video of a few mock rounds, but I never heard another word from them. Have you tried walking into their office and firmly shaking their hand? Was the closest guess in a sweets in the jar game at our local community center. I won a hamper of wine, cheeses and crackers. I was 9. When I was 10 I correctly guessed the weight of a pumpkin and won a packet of giant cabbage seeds. I never got round to planting them. Life has been downhill ever since that peak. Dude, when I was in 1st grade our teacher gave us the same fun game. Problem was, she never thought anyone would actually get it right, which I did, so she didn't even have a prize. I was always salty about that. I had a math teacher that did that to us, except she just had shitty prizes. She claimed none of the students could draw an onagon, 9-sided shape. My brother literally drew 1 second after she announced it, and she was blown away, so she went rummaging around for a prize in her desk. She pulled out this old-ass kaleidoscope that had leaked half of the fluid out, so the shapes barely moved. Mine was technically a game show. I remember vividly as I was reading through the disclosure agreements, it was listed as such. I was on a show on CNBC, Make Me a Millionaire Inventor. We were episode 1 season 1, the premiere. We had developed a mouthguard that measures the severity and frequency of sport impacts. We ended up winning $100,000 investment from the investors and everything worked out. We received the capital and deployed it effectively. We are now a growing company that helps keep athletes safe around the world. For us it was rather monumental. I won the showcase on The Price is Right. It was the spring break episode, so it was only college students. It was my senior year of college. Winning a new car and a bunch of other stuff made the last semester of college awesome. It's been 9.5 years and I still drive the car. So I guess it's changed my life in that I've never had car payments. What were the taxes like? Had to pay tax on the value of all the prizes as if it were income. Luckily I hit $1 on the big wheel and a nickel on my bonus spin and won enough cash to cover taxes. 1 on a radio game show. 2 tickets to a festival I couldn't attend and headphones worth a grand total of year 7,50. Life hasn't been the same since. I bet people even recognize you on the streets now. I would have approached him, but he had his super expensive headphones in and I didn't want to disturb. My high school drama and speech teacher was the friend someone called for a phone a friend option on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Back when Regis was still the host. The guy who called him shared a portion of the money with my teacher, like 20-30K, and my teacher used the money to adopt a baby. This is cool. So nice of him to share. My grandmother was queen for a day. It's an older game show. She won a new living room set. Pretty nice for the times. Greater than she won a new living room set sounds like the ideal grandmother prize. I was on Survivor Palau other than being hungry all the time. The special service you get back at the Ponderosa camp is amazing, margaritas, unlimited food, whatever you want basically. I've skipped so many seasons of Survivor because there are too many and I can only binge so many. But I will 100% go back and watch your season based on your comment. I won $15,000 on Millionaire, with Meredith, not Regis. I kept $11,200. I had to wait 4 months for the episode to air and another month after that to get paid. Went to England and did a few smaller travel things with it, and then used it to rack up as little debt as possible in grad school. I will forever call it Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and not just Millionaire. I don't remember the amounts that you stay at if you lose after a certain question, but how high did you go? Did you use your lifelines up quickly? Did your buddy not cheat to help you? Did you miss on an easy enough question because you were under pressure? Not really a game show, but for those who remember Bozo Circus, I got to play the grand prize game every Midwestern child stream. How did it help my life? For every bucket you hit, out of 6, you get a bunch of toys/gifts. I think I got to bucket number 4 or 5, they're much smaller in person, and we drove home with a car full of toys, games, and Bozo hot dogs. As a child, it was pretty epic. The 7-year-old in me is very jealous. So there's a traveling version of The Price is Right called The Price is Right Live that travels around Canada and the USA doing shows that aren't nearly as awesome as the ones on TV, but still pretty good. They came to my hometown and I was given a ticket to it on my 23rd birthday. 1,000 plus people in the audience, and I get called down. I bid on this 6-slot machine worth $375 to get on stage, then I went on stage and won a trip to Vegas. All the while the host, who was an overly Dan dude, possibly Todd Newton, kept telling me to show some excitement. The audience sang me happy birthday as I walked off stage, which was nice. Then I got mauled by a crowd on the way out of the building because I had a very distinctive sweater on and was recognized by pretty much everyone. Well, the trip to Vegas was really just $1,000 in Travelocity dollars, and I was given the choice of the Travelocity money or an $800 check. I took the $800, which felt really underwhelming. Oh, and I didn't even get to keep the slot machine I bid on to get on stage, which was what I really wanted. I used that money to buy a laptop. The end. $800 is $800. You also went through a pretty cool experience, emo. Yeah, I've got no complaints, except the slot machine lol, it was a good time. I won so many times on a Sunday morning oldies trivia contest that they finally made a rule that you could only win every 30 days. The strangest thing I won was a pair of cowboy boots. And I didn't wanna be a cowboy. Exactly what I'd expect from a Swanson man. Not me, but my parents were on the Newlywed Game in the early 80s and won. I guess beforehand, there was a list of items they were given and they were supposed to pick 3 of the prize items and put them in order of their first choice down to their third. They had just moved into their first house and really needed a washer and dryer, so they put that first, and assumed that's what they would end up with if they won, and for the third choice they put a new pop-up tent trailer with camping supplies, something my mom definitely did not want lol. Well, they ended up with the pop-up tent trailer and camping supplies. On the video you can see my mom visibly upset they didn't get the washer and dryer, hahaha, poor mom. Anyway, they didn't receive their prize until their episode aired and they had to go pick it up themselves down in Los Angeles or pay a hefty price to have the prize delivered. They chose to pick it up themselves. They then incurred costs to upgrade my mom's car to an SUV with a tow hitch for the trailer. All in all, it ended up being a great prize because they kept it for 12 years, which included the first 8 years of my life. We took a lot of great family camping trips in that little trailer with some amazing memories made. My mom didn't totally hate it, but she eventually made my dad sell it and upgrade to a bigger trailer with its own bathroom and shower, haha. I had just gotten fired/unemployed 1990 or so and I was chilling at home. I called in on a radio show quiz style game and I won 2 tickets to the Symphony in town for their Christmas show. Drama ensues. So I'm pumped because I have no cash and this is going to be the Christmas present for my girlfriend slash soon to be wife. Big secret, waiting to the tickets in the mail as the date arrives. Nothing. I call the radio station, they say the tickets are in the mail. I quiz my roommate, nothing. A week or so later I have to carry the trash to the curb and grab the first jacket I come to, it's my roommate's. Fucking stubs for the symphony orchestra in the pocket. I couldn't believe it, he had intercepted the mail. He was the jealous sort, but it's not like I was a shining star with 2 nickels in my pocket, no job. I know he did it to make me look bad. I'll be honest, it was a real kick in the gut. Betrayed for perhaps the only time in my life maliciously by a so-called friend. I hope that friend of yours steps on Lego when he gets out of bed. What a scumbag. Won $700 getting a question right on a radio call-in show. My parents gave me $100 of it and kept the rest. At the time I was annoyed. As an adult looking back, it was because we were flat broke. $100 was an insane amount of money to a 12-year-old in the 90s, and the rest went to crazy things like us being able to eat. So overall not too bad. Oh, and when I was 20 I got to stand in a glass tube as a bunch of store vouchers for my local mall zoomed around me, and anything I caught I kept. Shoved them all in my shirt and walked away with a few hundred worth. Man, I always wanted to do the tube game and grab up the cash or vouchers. Pretty sweet. I'm sorry to hear you didn't get to keep your full $700, but I hope it helped you and your family through a tough time. I did the cash tube thing at a furniture store when Jay was 10 or so. I grabbed about $5. Was a major letdown. Won first place in a singing contest sponsored by a local radio station. Scored me $500 cash and bought a new guitar. I had the chance to go to the state fair and compete on a larger stage with a chance to win studio time and some more dollar, but declined as my talent ends at little old ladies in nursing homes and church and toddlers. They're my core audience. Not a game show. I rang the bell on the sledgehammer game at a country fair. The girl I was on a date with was impressed. Still married after 35 plus years. I mean, it did win you something. I won the top prize, $500, on a quiz show called Inquisition. This was around 1999. The check arrived right before my car registration was due, which was helpful because I had just lost my job. I remember that show. The Inquisitor was fucking creepy. Haha, yeah. The room it was filmed in was so small. One of my parents won £500,000 on a game show in 2012. Before this parent went on the show, we had been served an eviction notice from the rented house we were in. Needless to say, they bought a lovely house and it was the first time I ever had a nice bedroom to decorate. Being on the property ladder changed their lives drastically, and now they've moved to the upside down place, from the UK, and they're living their best life. The way you say one of my parents and this parent makes me feel weird. This will get buried, but I won Wheel of Fortune 2 years ago. I won $67,000. After taxes it ended up being about $52,000. I paid off all my debt, went to Disney, bought some new furniture for the house and paid cash for a car. Still have about $20K sitting in savings. It was absolutely phenomenal. It had always been my dream and I still can't believe it happened. How cool was Pat Sajak and Vanna White? I didn't get to talk to Pat much, but he was nice, for sure. We did get to see Vanna before taping. She was wearing Ugg boots. I will never forget that. One dude cried when she walked in. My mom won a trip to Vegas by calling in about her worst day ever on a radio show. They were giving away a weekend for 2 in Vegas to someone that had a really bad day. My mom's day started off with my dad getting into a car accident, totaling the van, our only vehicle at the time. Then when she got the rental car, she did some grocery shopping and accidentally locked the keys in the trunk after she loaded the groceries in. She had to wait over 2 hours for a guy with his arm in a sling to show up to unlock the trunk, and the key snapped off. They had to call a locksmith to open the trunk, and that took another hour. All the perishable groceries were no good anymore because they were in the trunk for 3 hours. Then when my mom was finally on her way home, she hit a cat. She then got home and had my brothers and I help her take in what was left of the groceries when my older brother closed the door, locking all three of us out of the house. Our neighbor had to help us break back into our house by prying open a window and helping me through so I could go unlock the door. This was back in 1991 or 1992. My parents had a wonderful vacation, and 9 months later had my baby brother. Edit, fixed some auto-corrected words. If it weren't for that series of random wild events, your baby brother may have never been born. I won $125,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire about 20 years ago. After taxes, I still had about $80,000. I paid my car off, got a computer, was able to quit a full-time job I hated and take a more enjoyable part-time job, and went to college. Now I work at a job I love that I wouldn't have if I never got a college education. R.I.P. Regis. This story is amazing. You did everything right with the winnings. Years ago called into a radio show and won 2 tickets to a cruise through the Bahamas. Only seconds later to be told it was strictly for couples 25 and up. Was extremely disappointed, was like 19 or something, and never understood why. You were not old enough to buy the timeshare, which is the only reason anyone gets a free cruise to the Bahamas. Ding ding ding. You win a Toyota. I won second prize in a beauty contest once, won £10. Lucky. I had to go back 3 spaces. A friend won $1,000 on a quiz show. It wasn't life-changing money, but it definitely helped. Took something like 9 weeks after the show was filmed for her to get the cash. My mom and I went to The Price is Right and my mom got called down, got on stage, and won her game. She did not win her wheel spin unfortunately, but she won $10,000 cash from her game, so that was pretty good. Can't complain about winning a bunch of cash. I think about 30 to 40% went to taxes. That's a damn nice win. What a fun experience that must have been. One of the most fun and also most exhausting experiences I have ever had. Seriously, I just remember being absolutely wiped afterward. I won a few thousand on Jeopardy a few years ago. It allowed my wife and I to finally go on a honeymoon 2 years after getting married. Maybe not life-changing on the grand scale, but definitely made our lives a bit better. Awesome. Any good Alex Trebek memories? Please don't make me cry, I'm already teary.